It's great that we have stockpile foods because this is, after all, Stockpile Friday chat. But what kind of stockpile foods do we have available, like in case of an emergency where your power goes out? Let's talk about this for a minute. Back in a minute. Good morning, good afternoon. This is Jan from New York City. I truly love helping people keep some of their own hard-earned money. Welcome to the Save Money and More channel with Jan. I am Jan. Nice to see you. You might remember me as Jan from New York City Saves Money channel. And sometimes you will see that name come up, like at the end when I give my production thing. I'll keep it there, but I don't have it as a channel name anymore. I decide I'm not going to do that. I prefer to keep it the way it is. How you doing today? I want to talk to you today about not just stockpiles. Well, let's get item specific about stockpile. All right, stockpile is not just the stuff that you're keeping for longer term, and let's say a little enclosure, pantry, maybe a walk-in area like I do. I have, thankfully, a spare room which I put a few shelves in. I'm trying to build my little, if you will, pantry in there. It's also half of the room is that, and the other half is my office space. So it's like a half and half room, if you will. But that's okay. I'm not talking about that area for the longer term stuff, but do include your refrigerator items, do include your freezer stockpile, do include your active pantry, the one perhaps in your kitchen, something that you're using frequently all the time. Don't forget to include that. But now let's suppose there's a situation where your power goes out, okay? And you didn't figure out a provision for ways of heating food. Let's say it's not just a 1 day power outage or even a two. By day three, the body starts looking for perhaps a hot meal, especially if it is chilly out. Nothing nicer and more soothing than a nice hot meal when you're under distress. It's very comforting, it's very soothing. But what can you do? If you have a way of being able to heat up water, there are so many options. First of all, let's talk about some foods that you can literally have like right out of the can. What comes to mind? First of all, things like tuna fish, things like canned tuna, canned chicken. They're ready to eat. They're fully cooked. Uh, Canned roast beef. Like I said, the chunk chicken, stuff like that. Just open it up and you could have it just like that. Doesn't even require. But there are a couple of things if you're blessed enough to be able to heat up some water somehow. For example, they have these like macaroni and cheese bowls where all you have to do is just, all right, normally you would microwave it, but I found a way where you could just add the hot water, keep it close as if you were doing like a cup of noodle type of process. Just let it sit there, the hot water, 10 minutes, mix it up, add your cheese last, let it sit there another minute, mix it up. You got yourself a hot bowl of macaroni and cheese. How soothing is that when you're under distress? Who says you can't sit down and have hot oatmeal or hot cream of wheat? Any of those hot cereals are a great option. And like I even just mentioned, the hot, those cup of noodles, which are so inexpensive. So I highly recommend that you have something of which you can have something hot. Of course, keep things like hot chocolate available, instant coffee, tea. These are comforting, and especially, like I said, during times of distress, keep some sort of cookies available. They don't have to be fancy schmancy cookies. Cookies, you could get them at the dollar store. Just put them away. Every so often, check on the dates of those things. Things like Pop Tarts. A friend of mine loves to keep a very ample supply of that. Things like that. You just need to know that if there's a power outage and you want to grab some safe to eat food, let's say you've used up the stuff in your refrigerator and this power outage is going on longer than you anticipated. For example, when we had our power outage during the Superstorm Sandy, which you weren't supposed to have, but the wind is what knocked out a transformer. I thought, okay, this is really cute. It felt like fun and novel. There's the bird clock again. It felt like a novelty. Okay. So day one, and it's funny, I have recordings of me like like I made like this diary of me going through day one. I was like laughing. Oh, this is so cute. It's like camping out. Day two, it still felt like fun camping out. By day three, I was starting to get a little careworn and the novelty absolutely wore off. I'm just being totally honest with you. By day four, I thought I was going to lose my mind. So, my mom and I, we ventured out a little bit to break up the monotony while the daylight was on. And at that time when that happened, when we had that over a week power outage, that was like at the end of October, early November, and the days were clearly much shorter. So a window of opportunity, getting as much daylight as we could. And oh, it was just about awful. And then of course there was no heat. Just imagine, no power, no heat. So the great news is at that time, I still had a gas stove going because I had purchased a lovely gas stove. This is before they reconverted and took away our gas stoves in the building. And yeah, I was so grateful because my mom used to get the chills, and what I would do is make her as much tea or coffee as she wanted. I also had sometimes the simplest things, the most basic things are sometimes the best things to have in your life. And what am I talking about? And I know I'm going a little all around the map about this, but I had a hot water bottle. And what I did was I would boil some water at night without the heat on during that time of the year. It's like felt like raw and the weather was not nice. Okay. So it was awful. So I would make her beautiful, soothing, comforting hot water bottles. Was very careful, not too hot, hot enough. Then I would balance it out, mix the water up with some cold water. I was so grateful to still have, that gas stove available to do that. It was just, really like got us through it. And that's the thing, getting back to, stockpiling and power outages and things of that nature. Sometimes we think a power outage is just going to last. I mean, we always hope for the best. Am I right or am I right? But this lasted beyond the realm of thought that I thought it would. So, like I said, the first 24 hours was one thing, and then all of a sudden we're into hour 48, and then hour 72. It's just like, oh my word, just awful. All I know is this is that I am so glad that we were ready. It is so important to be ready. So examine your stockpile. You have a chance perhaps over the weekend, take a look, say, if there's a power outage, what can we eat that's ready to eat? Make sure you have a can opener. I know we have a lot of flip top cans today, but not all of them are, not all of them. Still get yourself, a nice little can opener manual that doesn't require electricity and that you use it. I know these tips are helpful. They've worked for myself, and there are options out there. Let me know in the comments section below if you've ever been through a power outage and how did you cope, and what kind of great foods do you recommend that's readily available for your stockpile. Have a great day. Take good care. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Take good care now. Bye-bye.